It's Thursday night, and you know what that means.
And we just got a bit. It says live because it's recording, but we're not actually live today. And we're not live because it is your birthday. Do you want to say how old you are, or are you a bit protective?
Yeah, I'm old. If anyone wants to ask me, just DM me.
But before I get into the main part of the show tonight, I'll put this at the start of the show this week, just the what to watch this week, and the links will be in the description. First is I was going to say it's going to be live by the time you get it, but whilst we're recording this, it is live right now, and I'll put the link at the bottom. It is Theme Park Insanity's Alton Towers Christmas vlog from Lightopia. So it's a good vlog as well, so go watch it.
Cool.
And also, we've got Donna from Sussex, who's been to an abandoned church, which is his specialty when he's not going to castles.
Actually, I've not seen it yet, so I'd look forward to that.
Oh, he's going to be on the show on Sunday as well. But without further ado, we're going to introduce our guests. And this week we have got back on the show for a third time, I believe, although he'll correct me if I'm wrong. It's David Blythe from ThemePark Escape. How are you doing, David?
Hello. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. And yeah, it's the third time, so you are correct.
And for the first time, we have got Sean from Lift Hills and Thrills. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. And considering this is in the past, happy birthday from the past. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be very strange doing that, isn't it? Yeah.
So before we talk, we'll start with Blackpool first. But before we talk about that, because we've not had Sean on the show before, did you want to briefly explain to anyone who's not seen your channel?
Yeah, it feels strange. Thanks for actually having me on the show. It's much appreciated, and I feel like I'm treading through uncharted waters here. So if there's a crocodile in surprise for me, then I'm on guard. But yes, I run a channel called Lift Hills and Thrills. It's been going for about 2 and a bit years now. Theme park attractions, and I try and scrape Port Vale videos in there as well as attractions because I have a love for Port Vale Football Club. So
I know someone else who likes Port Vale.
Ooh.
Adventure Bears Global.
Yes, he's got good taste. He's got good taste. I went to Diggerland with them, and we shot a video. Yeah, it's a lovely couple. Love them to bits. But yeah, they live right next door to the ground, so I'm very jealous.
Did you want to briefly go into, because you've got a I don't want to get this wrong now. It's like is it a film review website?
Yeah, so basically this is my whirlwind of self-employment started when I was actually working for a gas calibration company, 9 to 5, doing marketing. Now, who needs to market gas? Either you're a company that wants calibrated gas or you're not a company that wants calibrated gas. So my job was kind of pointless. So after twiddling my thumbs all day, I went about marketing other projects behind the scenes and after work. And I got involved with a company overseas who were making a movie in Los Angeles called Fear Clinic with Robert Englund, who plays Freddy Krueger, and Corey Taylor from the band Slipknot. I offered marketing work and I went over to America, quit my job, put my notice in, and away we go.
How did that come about?
Are you okay?
Fun fact, I share the same birthday as Corey Taylor.
I had birthday to Corey Taylor today as well.
This
is going out as well.
Okay, well, happy birthday, Corey, as well.
Merry Christmas. Happy birthday.
But yeah, basically, I do a lot of marketing work. I was just in the wrong job at the time, and they were doing a crowdfunding campaign, and I'd done a lot of marketing for other big companies around at the same time as well. And I said, would you like some help? I'm happy to work free of charge, but if you get fully funded, I want X amount of money. And the campaign went really, really well. I ran all their social media and promotion. We got good press outlet coverage and stuff like that. And then as soon as we signed Corey on board, it kind of blew up and it kind of promoted itself thereafter. But that was quite late on. My job was already done then. And as a thank you, they flew me over to America to actually work hands-on on the film over in Hollywood. So it was crazy. Set up a movie website around that same time, doing reviews and celebrity interviews and stuff. And it's been a whirlwind of self-employment ever since.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And David has brought back Theme Park Escape. That went away for a little while, didn't it?
Well, yeah, I started it a few years back, and I didn't put much on it, and then I started putting a few bits on again of where a bit go and that sort of stuff. Really, a few pictures here and there. But yeah.
So, because I think the Poland thing is going to be something I really want to talk about, we'll start with the Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Did you want to talk about? Let's talk about what we were talking about before we came on air. Before I go into Journey to Hell, because this came up when we were talking off air for anyone watching. Tell them about what happened with the Pleasure Beach Express. Is it called, David?
Yeah, the Plus Pizza Express was closed. Now, getting a ride round there at the moment, you can see pictures of um, big ones scaffolding been up, and also you can see that the Big Dipper's having some new track work done for next season for its 100th year. However, on closing day, it decided to break down or potentially derail. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened, but it was closed for the remainder of the day at the end of the season. And I did hear some speculation it may have derailed, but it definitely broke down at least. So, but yeah,
Does that put you off riding it next season?
no, not really. To be honest, it doesn't go around that quick. To be honest, I don't think it would cause anything too damaging. But yeah, I think a few people wanted to get some pictures around Infusion where the big ones track is, and they drained all the water out of Infusion as well, ready for the big one retrack, and that fourth drop this year, and say that Big Dipper retrack for the 100th season. I don't know 100th year, but I don't know how much of it they're retracking, but definitely doing a bit more.
So
Hope no one was hurt with the derailing. Oh,
if it happened, yeah.
If it
I
happened,
don't want to start
really hope
speculation.
that no one's hurt. If
Don't
there
go.
was
Mike
people
said it
there.
derailed.
No, I don't. No, I don't think.
Just saying.
No.
Hopefully not. Cross fingers. Although if I was a train and I had to experience Express at Journey to Hell, I'd want to escape too.
Did you want to start with Journey to Hell? Because I didn't do it this year, so I've never actually done it. Did you want to explain? Because the rides open?
Some of the rides,
yeah.
Yeah, they're on like a rotation. So I think the first year they just had Icon, which he did blindfolded. Then last year they had Big One, they had Icon, and they had the Ghost Train, and they had the River Caves. And this year was the same lineup, but instead of Icon, they had Infusion. And yeah, it's an event that doesn't seem to be getting better for me year by year. There's no improvements there. It seems to be the same as it was originally. There's a lot that I can say, but I've said enough in my video, and I have to be careful what I say. But I didn't like it. Is all I'm going to say.
What? So is it like a I don't know how to word this really. Is it kind of a staged event where you do something, then go on one of the rides in a certain order, and is it like a route?
Yeah, so the first and second year was actor led. So they had like soldiers that would lead you through the pleasure beach to the next section. So they'd lead you to a clown maze, for example, that was in the Chinese gardens, the actual hedge maze, and then they'd lead you to another section and another section. So they'd have scare zones, and where Avalanche was just like clowns walking towards you with a balloon, and that's it. You'd walk past them, but that was classed as a zone, and a zone that you would actually pay for. This year, the actual thing is much more free, where you have tickets and you're free to walk around the park at night and go to different areas, so you can pick and choose. I like that. It's just a shame that the areas that you went to were still very limited in terms of theming, actors, and pretty much everything that makes a scare experience a scare experience.
I mean, River Caves would be a prime example. We went round in the boat in the pitch black, which was quite airy, silent pitch black, but there was only 2 actors, and they were hidden under where the lift is up to before the drop, doing nothing.
Yeah, well, we went up that exact same lift hill, and one of the actresses was on her phone at the top on the little evacuation steps. I was like, "Oh, that's scary."
Did she just kind of go boo and go back?
She was literally checking a message. I was like, "Okay."
So, if you said you got tickets, are they for the mazes themselves?
Yeah, it's like
and you get one for each, or can you say if you like one of them, you can do it multiple?
It's like a bulk ticket, but what they did last year when we went, the big one was closed because of weather conditions. So you basically, all the tickets that you get for each individual attraction, I think the big one was called Sirens, I believe, this year. So basically you go into the station and they've all got like electronic masks on, and they just kind of stand there. All the ride-ups have got electric masks on. That was it. Because it was off, you could cash that ticket in for another attraction. But there was actually people going around the park giving their tickets away for free because nobody wanted to do a repeat of any of the mazes, which I thought was quite telling for the event as a whole.
Yeah.
How did you find the event this year, David?
I thought the Impossible maze was quite good. I thought they'd done that out quite well.
Oh, did that in that museum bit?
Yeah, Impossible on the right hand side. Yeah, it's got like the mirror maze and stuff in. Yeah, it's on the right hand side as you go in. I thought that was quite good. There was a couple of them I just thought, there was a bit long and not a lot going on. I quite enjoyed the Ghost Train with a couple of actors. That was quite good. I say the River Caves. It was quite airy doing it with no sound and light. I do give it that, but it's quite a strange experience in that sense. Big one. Well, it was just a big one with no lights on. Really, it's still good to get a ride on the big one. It was flying round that day, I must admit. So
yeah. Do you feel it's though it's an event that's very heavily reliant on the rides that are already there all year?
yeah, I guess it is. To be fair, I think you are right there. It is reliant on them rides to be part of it. But I think it's a different experience, I guess, to other scare attractions. I do think they're doing it in a totally different way to say what Towers and Thorpe and Chesington do. To be honest, and I didn't go to any of them this year, but yeah, I think it's a
Did you go
different.
to Scarefest?
I didn't go to Scarefest at all this year. No.
No.
I think it's quite interesting because obviously you get like, I mean, unfortunately, I only know like Alton Towers so far at the minute since like lockdown and everything, but it's like you get a ride like Nemesis and there's a story behind it. And then obviously they then released like other rides related to that, as well as they did a scare maze based on it. Not mentioning any names there, but just leave it at that to the mystery. But then it's like obviously with Blackpool, by the sounds of it, I do agree that it does sound like they are relying on the ride somehow, like they're trying to bring out the theme of the ride or something with it. Like, I feel like they could do something there, but maybe more relevant to the ride.
What were the roaming actors like?
They were all based around the hub. So you had the Pleasure Beach Werewolf. I remember last year there was more like stilt walkers and stuff like that. I didn't see many of them this year, other than obviously the werewolf, which is obviously in stilts. It's not like a 10-foot tall bloke under there. But yeah, they were just based around the hub, and that area was nice because there's actual atmosphere. And when you're walking away, it's just walking through Pleasure Beach at night, which is something that us as enthusiasts would appreciate because it's something unique and something quite beautiful just to walk around this abandoned theme park at night. But for someone who doesn't really care about theme parks, that could be a little boring in itself, just walking around this empty theme.
And I think the fact it was like £30 a ticket also has potential to put people off going.
Is that even if you've got annual pass?
Yeah, there was no discount at all.
No, it's one of the most expensive horror attractions of the 2022 calendar.
This seems insane.
It was something I wanted to do, but I think also because I was doing other things that weekend, it kind of fitted in with the weekend. Oh,
so you were just doing it because you were passing?
Not necessarily, but it was just part of the weekend.
See, I was actually inspired. It inspired the rest of October's content because we did that and we were like, right, we've got to go see attractions that we haven't been to before because nothing can be like this. I'm not saying it was that terrible. I'm just saying nothing could be like this. So I just wanted to see. So it kind of spurred this road trip where we just went to like 12 attractions in 2 weeks, like back to back. And I'm telling you, there's so much better out there. There's so much better out there.
We were a bit like that with our scare mazes this year, weren't we? We thought we'll try something different, compare.
Oh well, I spoke to Sean about some of the stuff we did, and he had better time than us.
Yeah,
some of them.
So it's
strange, isn't it? It's strange how everyone's experience is different. It's like when I went to Dr. Fright's, for example, like their way of scaring you is so unique. Like you'll walk through a corridor and someone will drop out of the ceiling. I've never seen that at any other attraction. Like it's crazy, like the effort they go to try and surprise you. But when I went through all the mazes that had been hyped as like some of the most unique, there was nothing there. It was just guardrails and a little bit of cotton wool as theming. And I was like, okay, so what's happened here? So now I went to Spooky World, which when I went for the first time was just the guardrails and lack of theming. But the actors were on a next level. Like they were crawling all over you, like really intense, like up in your face, and just having that intimate experience. I forgot about all the guardrail theming because these actors were going above and beyond to scare the hell out of me, basically.
Yeah.
But you had a good time at Warwick Castle. Yeah. That's what I was referring to. Because we
in
had
the day, yes. At night, in the day, I liked it. It was cheeky. It was family friendly. At night, nothing much had changed. But I don't blame them because they're using exactly the same attractions as they were in the day. Literally, we were waiting for the night one to open. and 2 members of staff come outside, and there was a banner with the kids one outside of that attraction. All they did was pull down the other banner behind it that said the adult attraction, and inside you go, and just actors in there that had different masks on. Yeah, it's the same experience. Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Fear Factory?
Yeah.
No, I'm scared.
Well, these attractions are sort of on a different level. I mean,
Where are these attractions?
there's 2 in
very
Krakow and there's
strange countries.
one
Yeah.
in Katowice in Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they weren't at the theme parks.
No. Energylandia had a really good Halloween event though this year. They said all their event, you know how they have like the scare ratings and like 3 stars, 4 stars. All the ones that they put as 3 stars, which are meant to be for the younger ones, were 10 times more terrifying than all the ones they'd labeled as 5 stars. Like, I've never been so scared in my life. One, because they didn't understand what I was saying half the time. So if I said stop or get me out, they wouldn't have understood me anyways. And you just didn't know how far they were going to go. And considering we'd just come out of that particular one in Krakow, then I didn't know how it was going to go down. And that was more scary because I was in this other country where they might not have not everybody there spoke English, and just made it 10 times more unnerving and unsettling. And the mazes were beautifully designed as well.
So I don't. You can see David there.
There's just
quite
so many
scared.
questions.
I've got so many questions because it's like I was going to ask the name of it, and then I'm looking at it, and it literally looks like you've been kidnapped by the mob because this guy holding a weapon with a bunny mask on, but he's got what looks like a hoodie.
Well, the thing is, there's different levels of it. So you can have one of the attractions. It's like there's a green one, a red one, a yellow one. So this is Lost Souls Alley, but they're all the same principle. So the red one, they can basically do anything to you. The yellow one's sort of an in-between, and the green one's the less intense one, which I think there's one less than that, to be fair.
Which one did you do, the red?
No, we did the green.
Oh, that's the green.
No way!
The red one, you'd probably come out injured, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the red one they wouldn't let us do on the day that we were there because apparently they have to have certain staff members. I'm guessing certain sadistic staff members in, but yeah, we did the amber one, which was in the middle, but you had to have a certain number in your group. I don't think you could have less than 3 in your group, and one of our members pulled out within 10 minutes, so we downgraded instantly to green because we had no choice. But yeah, it started out very intense, and there was a guy come into the room, complete pitch black. We didn't know what to search for. The person in the room with us didn't speak English, clearly didn't speak English. They were just smacking a rope on the table, and the table nearly split in half. He broke a chair next to us, and we're like, okay, but how do we get out of this room? Because it's an escape room at the end of the day, but it's so intense.
Okay, it's just an escape room.
Yeah, but it's so intense that you kind of lose your train of thought. I didn't know where to look, what to do.
You get given a torch.
Yeah, after that first
but
room,
only one torch for the whole group.
Yeah.
Does the actor take the torch off you? Because it looks like in that photo.
No, that's a taser in his hand, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it is. Yeah.
The traffic light system, like with the green, the amber, and the red, is that like to do with like the hardness of the puzzles as well, not just the fact that the actors are very even more fearful than what they were before?
Yeah, just intense.
You get the same experience. It's just the intensity that they can do it at.
So you start in a dark room, and then a guy comes. But I've got so many questions, but at the same time, I don't know how to ask them. It's just is it just that room, or is there more after that room? You go on to another room?
How many rooms did you
Oh no,
there's multi.
No, there's quite a few rooms.
6. Yeah, but I think there's more than 6. I think for the red one, they can take you through different corridors and different
different routes.
Yeah. So the first one's like a seance room. I'm not sure if that was the same for you as well, but we sat around a table and we had to read something that popped out of a box. And as soon as we said these words out loud to like summon a demon, all the lights go off, and then someone's in the room with you, and they're breathing down your neck.
Were they English words?
No, they weren't English words. No, they weren't.
I'm not normally xenophobic, but that would get me because I ended up watching The Ring when I was younger, and it was all in Japanese, and I proper freaked. And then when the American English version one came out, I was like, nope, I can't watch it. I just can't watch it. And it's just because I didn't understand the words. Like, I don't get what was going off. I don't get it. But it was just, it put the fear in me when I was younger. So, but yeah.
So what? I've got so many
You're very
questions.
brave.
I've got questions, but they both experience different things. But What?
As you-
When were you first introduced to the taser, David? How did that come about?
When I was in Lost Souls Alley, I was literally cornered when I was coming through to one of the rooms, and they were threatening me with it. They wouldn't fire it on the green level. Well, apparently.
Was it a real taser?
But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's painful.
Oh, did they actually shock you with it?
Yeah, because we started with Amber, didn't we? So I had to put my hand through. The other two were terrifying. I mean, it was basically like being in Hostel. It's the closest thing you're going to get to like being inside a horror movie because you just don't know how far they're going to take it. Even in Amber, and I had to put my hand through some hole in the wall. I think it was to get a key or something, basically to open the next section of the experience. And when I put my hand through, just very ever so slightly, just tagged me. And I was just, it's not to like to the full setting. I imagine with Red, they'd probably crank it up to the full. It's like one of them joke buzzers that you used to have from the joke shop. It was pretty much like that, but a bit sharper. But yeah, it
Did you have
comes
to sign
key.
a waiver?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So I was going to say, otherwise, you have the health problems involved with getting shocked.
I always think them electric shock pens as well. Like you click
Yeah,
the top.
there will.
Yeah. There's
There will
some
check if
stories.
people have any illnesses beforehand. I mean, we didn't have the electric on in ours, but yeah, it's we'll check all that.
It's a bit surreal. As someone said when we came out, we said, "What's the red like?" And they showed us on the CCTV cameras that there was some shackles against the wall. And basically, what they do is they take one person from the group, put them in the shackles, and just keep shocking them.
Oh,
Is there a safe word, or do they just?
Yeah,
I can't remember if there was an actual word you said, or you had to do a gesture to camera. I can't remember. I was pretty terrified of it. But the thing
there
is,
was something.
I got in the zone. I was more focused on the puzzles. I was like, right, if I focus on the puzzles, I'll be less distracted about the guy trying to, chase me with a taser. So I was completely focused. The puzzles weren't hard at all. The first room, didn't know what to do. But after that, the puzzles are very, very straightforward if you've done escape rooms before.
So I'm guessing because you've got these pictures, David, you can buy the photos or the actual video.
Well, you can. Interestingly enough, when you go on to not Fair Factory, to be fair, they send you one by messenger, so you only get yours. Lost Souls Alley gave me a login, and they put them on Flickr, so literally I can see anybody's pictures, which I'm sure breaches.
Did you see any of the red tasering on the red version?
I don't know if you'd be able to tell, to be honest, unless you really found that one incriminating picture of someone just like, you know what I mean? But other than that,
I've seen a few pictures on there, and I can kind of tell they may be a little bit more intense, but the pictures aren't the best because they're black and white. So,
how long does it last? The whole experience?
About 40 minutes. Ours was about 40.
Probably not that even. Probably seems it.
What was there a big finish? Like, did something happen at the end?
Funnily enough, you just mentioned the ring. I won't obviously spoil it for people who are going, but it revolves around that. That was our finale.
I think you're very, very brave, to be honest. Like even me just thinking about it, I'm like, just no. It's great that you've gone to experience it.
So Sean started with a seance, and it was kind of that theme. Did you have the same kind of thing, David, or did they lead you around different rooms and you had a different experience, like a different story?
No, the table definitely. We definitely sat round the table, and I think it was pretty much one of the group got locked in a coffin, and I'm guessing it was pretty much the same experience. A mattress dropped down at one point.
People complained about Brave It Alone when Alton Towers used to do that, and it was nothing.
I'd be all right with the coffin thing. It's the taser thing.
I was fine with the coffin. Yeah, I loved it because everyone else was getting the torture outside, and I was in this lovely, comfy coffin. Like I felt safe as houses because I knew no one was coming in unless they lifted the lid, and everyone else was outside getting tortured. So I was like, I could stay in here all day.
I don't need to do the pause. I'll just nod off.
Exactly. Yeah. It was very strange though, because the girl I was with, she was getting very very anxious and very nervous. And when I opened the coffin, when someone else opened the coffin lid, some guy was literally made her going down on all fours and was sitting on her back saying "Squeal Piggy." So that was an interesting experience. And obviously they knew English, or that was the only two English words that they knew.
Were there any moments in there for either of you that made you laugh? Like one of your friends was so nervous they shouted something random, or something the actors did. Was there any moments that made you laugh?
Mine was nervous laughter. On all my CCTV photos, I'm laughing. Every single one of them. There's a guy chasing me with a chainsaw with the mattress that was just mentioned, and he missed and hit the mattress over. He was meant to knock me into the mattress, so I fall backwards onto the mattress, but he tripped and knocked the mattress over, so I was just laughing at him. And then there was another one, was a guy chasing me down the corridor with a taser, and I'm just there giggling. It's definitely nervous laughter. It's how I cope. I'm basically Chandler Bing.
Yeah, totally get
What
it.
about you, David? Did you have
Totally
any,
get
or was it just all frights?
I don't think it was. No, I think it was more frights than. I mean, yeah, and I think it was about trying to work everything out. So you've got to have a bit of teamwork to get yourself out through the maze. You know,
How
through the
was
escape room.
was Dan with you, Darkadder?
Yeah, Dan was with me. Yeah.
How did he fare in there?
He did okay. But I think everyone found it quite scary.
You've all each got your own little experience to take back with you and go, right, I'm scared of that. So maybe
was there any
not that next time.
Was there any ambient sound in there, like pumped in, or was it just?
No, it was just intense. It was basically, I think the most theming was probably in that first seance room, and after that, it was literally just like a hostel basement, concrete walls, very bland, very basic. I think it went into a bathroom scene at one point, but it was basically just tiled, on that concrete wall that you've been walking around. So in terms of theming, there wasn't a great deal of it, but you didn't need it. It was just the sheer terror of you didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think
fear of the unknown, isn't it?
Lost Souls was probably a little bit more scary than Fair Factory, and the first one I did in Katowice, it's got a Polish name that I can't pronounce, but that one was definitely not as scary. It was more escape room based, but not as much going on. I didn't find.
Did you know what you were getting into before you went in there?
I knew somebody. I knew somebody that had been to, and well, 3 or 4 people that had been to Lost Souls Alley, so I kind of knew, to be honest.
Wow, you guys.
I wanted to push a limit. Definitely wanted to push a limit, but we had a good one in the UK as well, and I can't pronounce it I think it's called Fort Amherst, and it's an old fort in Kent, and you basically go through their tunnels, and yeah, it's insane. Okay. So they had two mazes at the start, and I walked through, and they were very basic mazes. I was like, oh no, we've come to one of these again. It's basically Pleasure Beach. But when we come out, we go into the tunnels, and you're in this scare maze for 40 minutes, and there are easily 50 actors in there. You sit at scenes, you're watching scenes unfold. You're going through walkthrough spaces. Actors are coming out. They can interact with you. They can grab you. They can put you against a wall. They can separate you. They can lock you in places. It's the most intense one I've done in this country. But funnily enough, I did that after I come back from Poland. So I was already quite well prepared then. I was like, oh, you can do anything to me now. I've been to this one in Poland.
I'm not saying it's anywhere near as intense, but have you done Hitchenbrook House?
No, it's on my list. Is it good?
No, because Knox has done it, and it didn't look as intense as those, but it looked quite full on.
They seemed a bit personal, didn't they? The actors.
Actually, before we go on to Energylandia, I just want to ask Sean, because he's quite versed in, or I'll ask David as well. Do you think, no one else agrees with me really, but when we have scare zones, we used to have scare zones on towers. Do you think it broke the mystique of things like the chainsaw's obviously not real in a maze, but when I've got someone stood there in an open space and I'm filming them, and it's like I'm just looking at a chainsaw and I'm like, it kind of breaks the mystique. I don't feel, not just the chainsaw, I'm using that as an example, but do you think the scare zones broke the mystique of the scare mazes almost?
Yeah, they could, in a way, the scare zone should complement the mazes, but some scare zones take it too far. Like with the chainsaws, for example, if you're watching someone with a chainsaw that you can clearly see the blade isn't rotating, it's in a big open space, you're kind of looking at them like, well, that's not scary, is it? It's just making a noise, and people are going to freak out if someone gets close up to them. And it's just how that person moves towards that potential group that causes that scare. But if you just keep watching, it's not as effective. Whereas if you go for a scare maze and someone's doing it, it's quite claustrophobic. I didn't jump once any chainsaw scare all season. Went to, I think it was Screamfest in Burton, and there was a maze there called Creed Farm. Yeah, and right at the end, there's a chainsaw sequence, and I was just walking out. No one was there, And the next minute, this guy just comes straight up behind me, just chasing after me. And it's fight or flight. I just ran like hell. And I've never ran in any scare maze ever. I just bombed it straight out the field. So
See,
in a way,
my experience was the opposite of that one. Mine was
it?
a case of, I can see you. Okay, you're running towards me. Okay, you're in my face. Get out of my face.
See, it's
And
just
then
wherever
walk
they are.
on.
Yeah.
But if you put me in subspecies, where it's just the tunnel idea, as soon as you come out the tunnel, you feel claustrophobic.
That's not even the chainsaw anymore.
But then towards the very end of it, which I don't mean to spoil, but obviously it's not coming back anymore, from what I've heard. As you come towards the end, it does get a little bit claustrophobic with other objects in front of you either side.
Yeah.
Next minute, big dude comes along flailing the thing, and
hang on.
whoa, where do I go with this? And it's just like, it's like the Scooby-Doo.
Hang on, big
thing
we
for
know
me,
we know his name.
Jinkies. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that there was also other guys there that were quite big and stocky as
There
well.
are other scare actors
The
available.
talented Dimitri did actually make me run
Dimitri's
out
awesome.
screaming. So well done, Dimitri, if you're watching.
Crazy, isn't it? How so many experiences are different. It's like Creek Freak. I did Creek Freak for the first time this year, but I wanted to keep doing it. So every time I went to ThemePark, which was about 5 or 6 times over Halloween, because I was always around London doing all the stuff around there, we always pop in, make use of that Merlin pass, and we'll go do a maze. And Creek Freak never got me. And it was so strange because and so many people have said how intense it is, the chainsaws, but not once did I jump in that particular one. And then I go to like Creed Farm, like I just said, and like freak out. And I've never freaked out in a maze. It's so subjective, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did you think about the chainsaw in Love Hurts?
I didn't, because we were quite near the back, you see. So when we got to that section, there was a big crowd in front of us. I was like, well, if I can't see the guy, can't see the chainsaw, then I'm all good. They're going to die before me. But other than that, the finale for Love Hurts wasn't great. The start was great because we were locked. Did you know the toilet bit where you start at the beginning?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the actual, I think it's a magnetic lock or something that opens the toilet door, had broke. So we were actually stuck in that toilet for a while. And the girl I was with was claustrophobic. So there was more scare in that toilet than there was throughout the rest of the maze. I hear it's not coming back next year, though.
Is it not?
Oh.
No. Someone said it's the last year for Love Hurts.
It's
This year.
very
It's a big
weird.
shame.
I like the underground bits, although it just seemed weird because it wasn't that scary. And then there was that big warehouse bit before the finale. It just seemed really
I like
odd.
the bit where you could, obviously the underground bit, but the bit where you duck your head under and you can, like, it narrows down and then you can see all the bodies laying there as you're going, like, in between.
Yeah.
I like that. That one got me a little bit
And my
nervous.
favourite bit was the there was the long hallway with the zombies in it and the green light going into the sewers. It wasn't scary, but I just thought it looked good.
Yeah. But
I
I
like
thought it was, I think depends on, like, with the whole by going back to the chainsaw thing, it's like, it's not just a case of, it varies on different things though, doesn't it? It varies what time of day you do it. It varies like if you've got another group in front of you. Also, like the build up, just something kind of make you a bit nervous beforehand, or do you know what I mean? It's all those sort of things. I just find it well interesting. But
it makes you want to go back every year. It's like Extreme Screen for me this year. I've been banging on about that event for 2, maybe 3 years now.
Yeah.
Incredible movie set detail, insane actors, great scares. This year I went, and I was just, the batching was literally let a group go in front of you. 5-6 seconds later, you're going in. So there's just this big conga line, and then it kind of all gets stuck at some point, and you're just like in a queue inside the scare maze. No
Yeah,
acting.
we did that.
Yeah, so that was such a shame. Whereas other years have had much better run throughs, and it's still a beautiful thing to be a part of. But
yeah,
I don't want to be queuing inside a scare maze with nothing happening. Like, I can appreciate the set detail more if I'm just standing there getting a tour, basically. But that's not what I'm there for.
I like Extreme Screen.
I missed the hunt. That was the first year we ever did it. They had the hunt, and I missed that.
Is that the one with the wolves, isn't it?
It was the one with the blindfold. I don't know
Yeah.
if Sean did it. And then when they took the blindfold off, it's taken off by a guy in a wolf mask and the strobe lights. So
Yeah.
he was like,
That one got me quite.
I haven't
got
done that.
separated
"Oh, it's the
from my-
blindfold maze before Hoodoo Voodoo."
Yeah,
It was
Oh,
kind of
right,
based
okay.
on posh people in the
it
countryside
was before Molly.
sacrificing us to the wolves.
It was before Molly.
It was before Molly
Crow
Crow.
as well.
I think it was
It
before
was a
Molly
year
Crow.
before
Yeah.
Molly Crow, but from Alton Towers. That was a good
Right,
one
mate.
as well. But
And a Jalandia.
yeah, sorry, I got off on one.
Who wants to start on Energylandia? You've both been to
okay.
one.
Energylandia is one of those places now. I've spoken to a few people about it. It's got 3 or 4, well, 2 very good rides, a couple of others that I think are okay. and a lot of old stuff, and the place is quite mismatched. You go where Zadra is, and Zadra looks, the area around Zadra is really nice set out. Same with Hyperion, but you go through some of the older areas, and it seems to me that the park is focusing on getting bigger, quicker, as quick as they can, but not focusing on the older areas. But in Energylandia, Zadra and Hyperion are great rides. I prefer Hyperion, which is controversial to some people. I've had a few debates about that, but I think because I've done Wildfire and I thought that was better than Zadra, so the expectations going there was going to be that Zadra was going to be a lot better than Hyperion, and that wasn't what.
Is Energylandia quite flat?
Yeah, very flat.
Yeah.
Is it just some rich guys just built?
No, it's no. There's a few notices up with EU flags around, and when you translate them into English, they've got a lot of funding from the European Regional Development Fund. So hence you've got these sort of new coasters that have been funded by the EU, and you've got a lot of the older areas that I think could do with a bit of investment. And it's like you go to Zadra and you go under this bridge under a road. It just looks like you're walking down an old subway. It's not. Yet there's other areas of the park that look so nice. It has a lot of potential, but it's expanding in my eyes too quickly, and it's very mismatched.
Yeah, I agree. The area around Zardra I thought was absolutely beautiful, and walking around to where Abyssus is, it's like, oh, it's literally right next door, but it feels more cobbled. It's still a beautiful area around the ride, but it just feels like they are literally just adding stuff for the sake of adding stuff. And as you said, like, yeah, it's basically just a guy going crazy with radio rollercoaster tycoon. But Old Town, yeah, it's a very clean park. It's a very tidy park, but it literally is just drag and drop. It really is. Everything Vekoma, basically. Even Zardra's got the Vekoma gates before you board, because obviously they do work with RMC and stuff. And I like Zardra more than Hyperion. Obviously, that's a debate we could have together, my friend.
I'm sure.
But that was my first introduction into a big European park outside. So I went to Disneyland Paris for the first time last year. I've only ever been to Universal Studios Hollywood before that, and that was years and years ago before this new development. So I'm very, very new to anything other than a UK coaster. So obviously going to Energylandia was like Christmas come early for me in terms of like new roller coasters to ride. So obviously I'm not the best person to speak about variety and comparisons in terms of RMCs and stuff. That was my first RMC, but I just thought it was a very, very cool park. And I've been to Plopsaland since, and even Plopsaland for me has just wiped the floor out of every UK theme park I've been to. And it's a shame because it just shows you how far behind we are in terms of what we're developing. But hopefully, cross fingers, Merlin booked their eyes, ears up, and new CEO and bright future ahead for all of us.
I feel like they try and give us the least amount for the most amount they can charge for it.
True.
And then they try to. There you go, Davis.
I mean, Zardra's a really good ride, and it looks impressive and all that. But I think because I enjoyed Wildfire in Sweden so much, I thought it was going to be the same as that, and it's not quite the same. It's very good.
Have you been to Legend? Is it Legendia?
Legendia.
Yeah. You been there, Sean?
I haven't. No, it was on basically the day we were going to come home. The day we flew out, it was actually open, but we got there at like 2:00 or something. So we were going to go, but I was like, I can't really enjoy it in a very minimal amount of time. But I believe it's only open on Saturday and Sunday, I think.
It was when I went there, and it's a park that, well, if you want food, you seem to wait for quite a while, but it's not the busiest of places. But one of my friends said that it was the busiest he'd seen it. But I think there's derelict rides there. Again, they've got this funding to build this one coaster there, and there's a couple of other rides that are quite new. But there's a lot of old stuff there, including a ride from American Adventures, one of the coasters. I'd have to look the name up, but it's a lot of old stuff there. But you've got that one ride there, which there you go, which gives it away. But the Let Coaster,
that looks
it's so impressive, and it's so compact.
Yeah.
the setting's great over the lake. The fact the inversion goes through the station, it's very intense, but I think it's quite good space wise. You don't need a lot of space to put it in. I think it'd be great in the UK park, something like a Let Coaster.
Hmm.
Is that one of the
interesting.
ones they got funding for?
I don't know whether Legendia got EU funding, but it just seems a bit random that they've got something brand new like that, and then half the park's got derelict rides, and it looks like it's on its last legs. It's
Last minute decision here. Have this 14 million or however much it was.
and I think from what I gather, I don't know loads about Legendia, but from what I gather, the park's been struggling over the years, and then you've got this sort of new area here where they've put the Let Coaster at the back, and there's an indoor ride as well. It's quite new. It's whether they can get enough funding, I think, to attract more people to come, because it's not the busiest of places.
Is it near a big city?
It's in Katowice, so it's probably between Krakow and Katowice is probably about an hour, and Energylandia is halfway between the two.
Yeah.
Oh, so Energylandia probably takes most of their foreign customers anyway, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think people go for the Let Coaster. I don't think they go for much else, but
I'd go for the cheap food. That was one thing that stood out to me in Poland. Oh my god, I was there for about a week. I spent
what
like
was the quality like?
Lovely. It was beautiful,
Yeah.
quality, fresh food for very, very affordable prices. Like a big kebab box, I think was like 9 zloty, which is what the equivalent of £3 something, or thereabouts, which is insane. It was huge.
So
It was
lucky.
beautiful.
yeah,
as well.
price wise, you can't grumble for what you get.
Be worth a visit one day. No, I've not actually been abroad yet, so it's a bit of a.
I think when we go
Taffy.
back to Europe, I think I'd rather just take you to Europa Park, which is like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that's still the best park I've
I can
ever been
technically
to.
say I've been around the world.
It's on the
Around
list.
Europe.
I keep watching videos and I just keep thinking, one day I'll be there. It just looks next level. It just looks next level.
Yeah,
They love to
Europa,
explore takeover.
I think the thing with Europa, it's not necessarily the rides, but it's the atmosphere and how the operations are so smooth, how quick everything runs, how efficient it is. There's
It
so
feels
many
like
different
that's
food
what-
and drink places. It's great for that.
It feels like that's what Disney. It almost feels like Disney made by someone else because it's that efficient. Almost.
Yeah.
But the only thing I criticised them on when I was there the whole time was went through the England section. And it's like a marketplace where you go down, and all down one side, like not like almost looking like market stalls, and there's a bit with loads of sweets. And I thought, oh, they're going to have English sweets here. This would be cool. And they weren't. They were just German sweets still. And I was like, oh, I was expecting to see Cadbury and stuff like that.
Toffee feet. That's not.
Oh, David, do you want to tell us about the? I can't pronounce that.
I'm not going to try and pronounce that. It's just on the outskirts of Krakow. It's a salt mine. It's about 2-hour tour you get to go around it, so it's pretty long.
How far down does it go? Because on the right there, I've got like you took a photo down the middle of the stairs.
Yeah, it's a few hundred feet. You walk down to the bottom and then gradually work your way up. It's quite impressive how they've done it. Obviously, it's not in operation now, as far as I can gather. It's just literally a museum, but
Wow.
some of the rooms, the way they've done them out, really impressive.
So
That's impressive.
have they made? It wasn't like this. This is just for show, right? It wasn't like that when it was an active salt mine that they built a chandelier like that.
Not. I mean, some of it's for show, for sure. Yeah. I'm guessing some of that wood they've put in is to keep it secure and stuff.
I wasn't sure what I was looking at was salt and what I was looking at was something.
I was
The
thinking,
chandelier was made out of salt.
I don't
Is that
know.
what you just thought?
No, salt added to stuff, not the salt you put on your like chips, but like rocks, like limestone stuff like that.
Oh, you think it's made out of the gems that they might have found within the mines, and
Well,
then
not
they just made a
gems, but-
chandelier?
No,
out
I
of
mean
it.
all this at the back
The
as well.
crystals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
They're really cool.
well, that's water there, but yeah, there's that at the back's salt, but.
That's awesome.
So there wasn't a
Rat
boat that
around.
went down there, was there? Because on the bottom it looks like there's. That's just reflecting light from the top.
Not that I'm
isn't it?
aware of.
Right.
No.
That looks cool.
And then I wanted to put. I thought this was
Hmm.
important to put in because you went here, and I thought it was good that you went there because you were like paying respect. But I don't know if you want to talk about how powerful it was when you went. Did you feel?
It's yeah, fine. It's a very airy place, as you can probably imagine from what went on back in the war. But to have there's a museum there which I didn't realise was there. Whether I'd be able to understand any of it and whether it be in English is another thing. But the actual concentration camp itself, of which there was a number in that area, just to have a walk round there and see the way people must have been treated back then. It must have been pretty somber.
Hmm.
But some of these photos were. Well, I don't want to say. Well, they're good photos. I don't want to say it was a good place.
I was just sobering. I
No,
thought,
I
no,
mean,
better
look at
not.
all those watchtowers on the right hand side there, just to stop people escaping.
Yeah. See, I remember going. This was like through uni years ago, but I remember going in the National Jewish Museum, and it had this. There was basically it was like a giant sort of cross shape, and in each part of this cross shape, there was like these really big expeditions that artists had done. And there was one where they had steel plates like of masks within this massive room, and apparently those are the faces of the Jewish people that died in the Auschwitz, and it completely covered everywhere, like top to bottom as well. There was like not shelves, but like they looked like pathways that you could walk on, but it was just covered of all these steel plated faces. And then there was another one of you go in this one bit of the part of the cross where it was like completely covered, and you just see this one speck of light coming from the ceiling at the top, and apparently it's to represent when all the planes were coming over and all the Jewish people hid away. It was very like sort of sobering effect, and it was like, oh, and you actually felt like you could hear
It's insane to think all that stuff
planes
happened.
go over and stuff like that. It was very
Yeah, I
like
know.
ooh, about it, but yeah, it's worth a look at that one as well. But that was in somewhere in Berlin, I think that I went. But yeah,
That's the
but there's
where they
this.
slept.
I
and
don't
stuff.
know. It just
That's
it
the
had
rooms.
eeriness to it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Exeter
Yeah.
Winter Wonderland. I put this in
Oh,
as well.
something cheery. I can breathe again.
Yeah, it's
I need a
that
bag of
time of year. It's only the second year that Exeter have put this on. So I took
Look at
a
that scaffolding they've got for that sign.
I know. I was thinking, how does that
yeah,
stand
it does look a bit random. And to be honest, although Exeter's not too far away, I don't think I haven't been for a month or two. So not that in that area. To know whether that scaffolding's for any other reason, but it does look a bit random, that doesn't it? But they're trying, they're making an effort. They've got an ice rink there.
Got a
They've got
fence around
two
the
or three.
reindeer.
People
I
climbing
know,
on the
that
reindeer.
does look a bit odd.
What did you think of this Winter Wonderland? Because have you done the London one? The Hyde
I
Park?
have done the London one, yeah, and I'm going back soon. But it's very small. It's probably not one I'd travel too far to. A lot of the rides, to be honest, are the ones that you'd get at the local fair. They've got a ride called No Limit, which is a KMG ride, which on the one on the left and the right there, which sort of takes after Rock Rage. They said it's their new ride. It doesn't look very new to look at. And I was reading. I just saw a video literally before I come on air of someone and put it on, and they quite rightly said the tilt mechanism's not great on it.
Oh,
So what in general? What did you think of Exeter Winter Wonderland?
I think it's an improvement to last year. I think it's laid out better this year. It's got a good Christmas atmosphere, and if you're local to it, it's fine. But the rides are not as exciting as what I'd see, say, at London for sure. I think Stoke Winter Wonderland, before the council said they couldn't do it this year, I thought that's probably better than Exeter, to be honest. But yeah.
It's such
It's
a shame about the Stoke one. Like, that was basically the council had this plot of land where it's been for years, Winter Wonderland, and there is a development going to be taking place there,
Yeah.
but it's so early in development that there is no reason why that Winter Wonderland couldn't have been set up. They're basically saying as though the project's going to be starting building in January, February. It's not. It might even be a year, 2 years before anything appears on this land. So they just cancelled it completely. And instead, Hanley and Stoke-on-Trent got a Christmas tree with no lights on it that snapped in half 24 hours after being erected.
How tall was it?
Christmas, Stoke. I'm not sure, mate. I didn't care to look. I just saw a
I don't
photo.
know. Was it like a really big one, like the one at?
Oh yeah, it was quite
Alton
a
Towers,
substantial. Yeah, it was about the height of your average KFC, because I knew there's a KFC right behind it where it was located, and it snapped in half. And yeah,
Did it hurt
and that
anyone?
was it. That was it. And it's a shame because Christmas really is cancelled in Stoke. We've got some nice little light trails and stuff like that with Trentham Gardens putting on a nice light walkthrough experience. But Winter Wonderland really drove not only the community but a lot of people from far and wide to come and experience it, because it had some decent rides. It had a nice atmosphere. It had these little cabins and huts that you'd get at much bigger places like Hyde Park, but it was kind of condensed down. It's like I went to Lakeside in Essex a couple of weeks ago, and they got a big wheel, a roller coaster and stuff like that. They basically had everything that the Stoke had one, but just with a giant wheel. But the one in Stoke is more together. It's closer together. There's more of an atmosphere, and it's nice.
A lot of the rides that go to Stoke are in Norwich this year, because the same people that do the Stoke one have set one up in Norwich.
Yeah.
What was the big wheel like?
Terrifying. I don't like big. This is the thing. Sky swings I cannot stand, because the fact that I'm being held however many feet up in the air by cables or chains the size of the ones you get in magic sets is very unnerving. and the wheels, I always either seem to get ones that the carriage rocks too much, or that it just doesn't feel very safe. There was one outside the Trafford Centre that put the fear of God into me, where the wheel was flat, that was actually sending the thing round. All the bolts were rusty, that was holding the carriage onto the wheel. And ever since I went on that, which looked as close to the Chernobyl wheel as humanly possible, I've been absolutely scared of everything else since. It was horrible.
Yeah, I don't know how many Winter Wonderlands are actually going off, but there's quite a fair few Winter Wonderlands
Nottingham's
going off.
kind of got something going on. That's how
Nottingham's got always something different. Instead of like a normal ice skating rink that you've got this year, it's literally going all the way around the edge of the marketplace.
It's like a square one, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like a route, it's like an ice alleyway, and you just
Does Nottingham the one with the slide? Does it have the slide? The Nottingham one. I remember a slide going through like one of the main streets. Down by the main square, there's like a big church or a cathedral. There's like a square. I think that was Nottingham.
Yeah, there's
like
one where you get to sit in like a ring and go down a slide.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's there this year, but obviously probably have a quick nosy anyway on my birthday. So in case anyone needs to know where I'm at. But I'll have a quick nosy because I'm going 2 for 2. But it'd be interesting. I might have a go though.
I can't ice skate. I've tried multiple times. I wanted to ice skate, but I just can't. It's not like I'm going
on land, let alone ice.
I've been loads of times.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to do ice skating? It's kind of include. No, I'm good.
As long as there's a cushion tied to me, I'm all right.
I don't want to be that like 30-year-old bloke holding onto one of them little penguins. And
I was going to say, as long as
4-year-old comes back
to
do exactly the same. Yeah, I can't suffer that kind of embarrassment.
Thing is, I would. Don't put it past me. I would.
I'd do it on my own. I think there's one in New Toxicity as part of the cinema. They got a cinema and an ice rink. It's always very quiet. I think I'd go there like early in the morning and fall flat on my face 100 times without an audience, and then I'd probably get more comfortable doing it thereafter.
Yeah, someone I spoke to.
I just thought you meant do both at once. Like just have the penguin sat next to you while you're watching a film in the cinema.
Just a Torval and Dean moment, like with the penguin.
David, did you want to talk about your tour of Rigby Road Tram Depot?
I mean, as many of you probably know, Blackpool is famous for its trams. It was the only town that carried on running trams before everywhere else ripped them out back in the time when it was the old heritage tramways. And obviously a lot of places have reintroduced light rail since. But the Blackpool Tram Tour, they started doing a depot tour. They want to build a premises called Tram Town in Blackpool at Rigby Road. They have a big problem at the moment, is Blackpool's getting electric buses very soon, and part of the site is going to have to be used for that. And the other site, which is where this picture is, the roof is leaking loads. It's leaking really bad. And the only way they can keep this tram operation open, including the illuminated trams, the whole lot, is by raising this money to keep the tram depot, well, safe, really, I guess, if the roof's leaking, and keep the vehicles safe to be able to maintain them. So
Yeah.
for £5 for an hour and a half tour, so you pay £5, which they class as a donation to help raise this money to keep the tram system going. The heritage tram system, not the modern tram system. So you pay this £5 donation to do an hour and a half tour around the tram depot, tell you all the history of it. And from what they're saying, the idea is if they can raise the money to keep the tram going, they then want to build a museum like Tram Town about the history of Blackpool trams, which I think, be quite
See,
good if it actually happens.
I think that would be brilliant because we've been to Critch
Yeah,
Tramway
David's been there as
Museum.
well. I talked to him about it. I didn't know him.
I mean, here's me saying a bit like Disneyland, but like Dapper days, like 1940s sort of days and things like that. I'd love to go to things like that. Like, I'd feel.
Critch is something else, though, isn't it? They built a mile-long stretch, and it's all the buildings are themed out and everything.
Yeah,
it's insane.
They've put a lot of work into it, but yeah, that looks cool with the skeleton.
Also, to think that during the illuminations, these heritage trams come into operation and do heritage tram tours and the rest of it. So you can go on the tram, do illuminations tours. They're doing quite a few different ones now, all on the heritage tram website. But the fact that if they don't raise this money and they can't keep the depot open, the old heritage tram system's at risk. I mean, and the trams in Blackpool are as iconic as the big one in the tower. So, it'd be a great loss. And, just a £5 donation. Well, they charge it whether you go or not. Obviously, if you pay to go, you pay the £5. But, for £5 for what they showed us, and they had quite a lot of knowledge about the trams. And they've got another loading parked up in Fleetwood Dock, apparently. And they're trying to get some of those restored, including one of the old Coronation Street ones and some of the others.
I saw the article on that. Yeah, that was in the Blackpool Gazette, I believe, the other day. Yeah.
See, I'm thinking like Blackpool Pleasure Beach charging £13 for those scare zones.
30 quid.
Oh,
30 quid.
30 quid. Yeah. Sorry, I was like, it's my accent. But like they charge it. Why don't they put that money towards places like here and then?
Well, no, Blackpool wouldn't donate that.
I'm just hinting. But
if anyone's watching the Blackpool Pleasure Beach, donate. If anyone's watching the Blackpool Pleasure Beach, finish Valhalla.
But no, like it's just, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know.
That's
really
a big question, actually, that we can ask everyone on
keep
who's here.
The history.
Oh no, not Valhalla conversation.
Is Nemesis going to be retracked before Valhalla opens?
Mm.
No, Valhalla will be open next year. It's got to be.
Didn't she put out a
Oh god!
They mentioned it, ThemePark Insanity on his live last week. Apparently, she put something on social media blaming the staff.
She did.
Some
she
member of
claimed,
staff did, yeah.
Yeah, she claimed that she doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know when it's going to open, and she hasn't been told updates about the project that's in her own park, which is, I don't know, it depends how much she's delegated, because I know that she stayed away from the Valhalla project because there has been so many delays and things happening behind the scenes that most of us won't be privy to. I've just been given little hints and tidbits of information that clearly show not all is well at Pleasure Beach. But yeah, she basically said she didn't know what was going on, and I hold my hands up, and I really don't know. Don't blame me, basically.
I don't know if I tell people
I think one of the problems with it is the communication. Yes, there's something gone wrong, but no one's explained what's wrong. I don't expect to know everything what's gone wrong, but at least give some information. She was advertising it was opening this year until before closing weekend. You've then got people saying on closing weekend, "Oh, is it going to open last day?" We knew it wouldn't, but people will still speculate because the fact she's advertising that. Yeah. I think it will open next season, but
they had a fashion show for the new Valhalla merchandise coming out next year, and at the fashion show, everybody was told that March 2023 will be the opening date, and then after that, even though Amanda was the person who got up on stage and said March 20 on Twitter, she now doesn't know. So there's a lot of stuff going on there.
How long is the fashion show?
It was just a one night thing for pass holders. You got an email saying if you're a pass holder, you could go to this fashion show and look at the merchandise before it's available and buy the merchandise before it goes live on the online
When you
store.
say fashion show, was it?
It was people sporting it down a catway, strutting the stuff.
How many different bits of fashion for Icon was Valhalla Icon? Did you say?
Yeah, they had a Valhalla stall with all the new merchandise on. People were wearing the new. They've got like the Oodies, haven't they? The Icon Oodies that they've just brought out for winter. So they had two models walking down. I say models; it was just staff members. But they used to have like a little fashion show. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds nice.
I can't imagine that would last very long though. They can't unless they have a lot of different bits.
I don't know. I was actually tempted to go, but it was the cost of getting to Blackpool to watch an hour show and to get a crepe and maybe a can of Coke. Yeah, it was a very short show. Yeah, they only have a very limited amount of clothing that they sell, but Pleasure Beach do sell the best merchandise, and that's why they're expanding their retail store. So a new Kiss Me Quick
with the merchandise. Definitely.
They're all stitched mainly, which I wouldn't tell is just like iron-on transfer.
It's just, we keep going on about it. They need to make stitched merchandise to last.
Yes.
Yeah, you just hope that the Valhalla shop isn't open before the ride, because I've heard that they're going to have a separate shop for the ride as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's believed to be going under the flying machines, but I don't see how that's going to work.
Yeah,
originally, it was going to go where Loki's bar. Well, if you look on the map for this year, they've actually put a pin. Like they've got like coordinates on the map of Pleasure Beach for this season, and the coordinates were under Loki's bar. But now they've put some sort of pop up, and it's like almost like a freestyle Merlin type thing where you go in and get a kind of Pepsi or something like that.
Yeah,
that's there now. So, and their location has changed again because I think the Kiss Me Quick shop's moving inside the casino building. So that building under the flying machines is going to be empty, but it's not Valhalla themed, is it? It's got spaceships flying above you.
Second person I've heard that from as well. So
what?
It's very strange.
Before we wind down, just because I know you've been, Sean, do you want to give your brief thoughts on Lightopia Alton Towers?
If you go for your first time, you'll absolutely love it. If you go for your second time, compare it to last year, the route has changed, and I've seen a lot of vloggers posting it seems bigger and better than last year, and I'm still trying to turn the screws in my head how that's possible, because do you know when you go down to Forbidden Valley and you've got that big long stretch of path, got the toilets on your left, and you just go towards Subterra? Yeah. Well, that was all open last year.
Oh, they used that.
Yeah, that's what they cut off this year. Last year, they had that full stretch down towards where Blade is, and it looped back round past the Watchtower in the gardens. There was a lovely light show in the gardens, and then you went straight into the Gloomy Wood area. Now, what they do, as soon as you get to Jewel, you spin off and you go straight into Gloomy Wood. So you cut a very large section of last year's off, and I can't see why people are saying it's bigger, because there's a very long section there. It only took us about 60 minutes to navigate this year. It took us 90 minutes last year. The finale's cool with the big dragon on the front lawn, but if you go in the day and you're walking up to Hex and Gangster Granny, a lot of that big Lightopia finale is ruined because you're walking.
It was ruined during Run Alton Towers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a shame. It's a shame that, but no, I enjoy Lightopia. I think there's definitely a lot of atmosphere. They had more ambient music last year. There was quite a few dead zones this year where there was no music or anything happening. And what I didn't like is when you started the journey this year, you had all radio hits. So you had Mariah Carey blaring out, walking through this tranquil walk up by Katanga Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas last year it was very ambient and it was almost magical. Like with a family, that's a beautiful thing to walk through there. But Mariah Carey was not what I had in mind, especially recording a video. I was like, oh God, copyright, pause.
Yeah, that's what we were a bit like that.
But as soon as you get to Runaway Mine Train, the more ambient music starts thereafter. But no, it wasn't as good for me as last year, but everyone has a different opinion. But it's well worth doing it. It's still much, much better than the Harry Potter Forbidden Forest experience, which is almost double the price. And for £15, walking through the theme park, beautifully lit up, some incredible lanterns, it's definitely worth the money, even for a shorter experience, in my opinion.
The only thing, we didn't do it last year, but the only thing that struck me, I don't know why I thought this, but I envisioned we'd walk through and we wouldn't be as packed in with so many people.
Yeah.
I thought they'd batch us or something at least, but it was just like
free for all.
It almost felt like when you're walking off the field at fireworks. It was just like
yeah. Did everyone kind of bottlenecked through Katanga Canyon that way?
Yeah. There was a couple of bottlenecking situations,
and like you said,
like,
there were
just go.
There were a lot of bits where there wasn't anything there. It was just like there was just darkness and nothing
Yeah, there's a few lanterns that were turned off when I went as well, and someone took photos a few nights later, and a lot of the stuff was turned off. And the finale for me, well, we waited about an hour because the big water finale, I hadn't seen it last year. Last year on opening day, it was completely off because we had loads of snow and nobody actually turned up other than, I think there was about 50 people that turned up for their opening night last year because of how bad the weather conditions were with the roads getting to Alton Towers. So it's very quiet last year. This year they had an issue with the water finale again. So both years I've never seen it.
Oh, you've not seen
It's
it?
a shame. No, I've still not seen it. They
That's a
had
reason to go
issues.
back.
Yeah.
If you look
Vloggers have been, and they waited a few more hours and saw the show. They fixed it a few more hours later. But I'm not going to stand there by the lake for like 3 hours going, come on, guys. Like, where's my projections? But apparently it's not as good as last year's anyways. But I wouldn't know. I've been twice and I've missed you both times.
Well, if you want to see a snippet on one of our previous videos, you can do.
Yeah.
It might not be the same actually being there, but you're quite welcome to.
Is there anything you want to mention before we wrap this up, David, about Theme Park Escape or anything else?
No, I don't think there's anything else I particularly want to mention. I think we've covered everything, to be honest.
Is there anything you want to mention, Sean, about upcoming content or anything like that?
I just appreciate you inviting me on. Upcoming content, my December month is always wing it. It's either I'm stuffing my face somewhere with a nice turkey meal, or I just may go and check out a Christmas market. It really is random. And at the moment, or have a beer. I've got to get through loads of these. It's just getting silly now. It really is. But just thank you very much for watching. And if you want to check out the channel, subscribe to it.
Yeah, I'll put links for all your stuff in the bottom.
Thank
And
you, both you
before we go,
Yeah,
I'll just
thanks for the
mention,
invite.
No, I appreciate you coming on. But I just mentioned Joe from Theme Park Insanity is on next week. We're talking all about Lightopia next week. Because his vlog has come out today when we're filming. So it's come out on Monday this week, everyone, because you're going to watch this on Thursday. And also this Sunday, the Christmas episode of Rollercoaster Rivals, which is the best theme park game show.
Is it Red Reindeer?
It's Red Reindeer's taking on the Silver Snowmen. So we've got, I think his name's Dave from Loops and Lap Bars. We've got Ryan from iCoaster. We've got
just so many people.
Chris and Neve from Rollercoasters R Us, and they're taking on Donna from Sussex and his wife and the Tracking Tailors.
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome. You can play along at home. It's going to be all Christmas stuff instead of theme park related stuff.
And
But
you guys are welcome
really
as well
fun.
in the comments to join in.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate everyone watching because it's not live this week. But did you want to say the catchphrase before we go?
So happy birthday to me, and I'll see you.
Oh yeah, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, of course.
Again from the
Happy
past.
birthday.
I will be enjoying my tea and cake. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're somewhere else right now because it's
So
his birthday
we'll see you.
in the review. Because for now.
There we go.